phone call with this information, okay? So this is our flyer for this school year. The flyer shows you each transition section every month, okay? This parent series is available every second Tuesday of the month on Teams. You can access the meeting link right on our flyer. So right where the arrows say click here, you click that, and then you will join into the meeting. Every session is recorded and posted on our YouTube channel. So if you miss any of our sessions, you can go back into YouTube. You can find the topic and the information that you missed, and then you can view it at your own time. Okay, our next session will be on October 14th, where we will be discussing the Big 5 agency resources. So tune in to learn more about vocational rehabilitation, the agencies for persons with disabilities, Florida Center for Independent Living, the Center for Students with Unique Abilities, and the Division of Blind Services. Tonight's agenda. So we're going to discover what the transition process is and what you need to know to best support your child's school journey from middle school to high school through deferment and beyond. For those of you who have been to some of my presentations, I always like to start the session with a quote, okay? The future is not something we enter. It is something we create. Okay, so let's really think about that. Okay, because tonight, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how we can create a plan to help our students become successful in the future. So keep that in mind as we're learning all of this great information tonight. The future is not something we enter. It is something we create. So who are we and what do we do? This is my amazing transition team. The ESE District Transition Team is made up of 5 fabulous transition specialists and 2 amazing district job coaches. We support middle school, high school, technical colleges, all transition deferment programs, and businesses. The team provides direct support and coaching to teachers, schools, students, and families. They liaison between businesses and schools to ensure meaningful work-based learning. They provide professional development to staff and administrators and parents. They facilitate life plan meetings as well as conduct transition plan meetings, and they implement deferment meetings, tours, and interviews. We are a small team with a really big job. Each transition specialist covers their high schools, and as you can see here, you will see the high school that are listed on the left and the transition specialists that support those high schools on the right. At the bottom, we see our non-traditional schools and our center schools. So you can take a snapshot of that. Okay, but we can also provide this information to you in our parent Padlet, which I will go over this evening. So what's up with the butterflies, Stacy? I don't know if you guys noticed my background, but we have some fabulous butterflies flying around, and the theme really is all about butterflies. So I kind of think of the transition process as the same. It's always kind of been that visual that I use. I mean, it's a part of nature to have a process, a life cycle, right? So for example, the butterfly starts at an egg and it goes through this process and then becomes an adult, which is the butterfly. So in my mind, to kind of just give you a visual of, I think, where we're at, is think of the egg as, you know, your baby, your little baby, right? And then think of the caterpillar as, say, preschool, and then think of the chrysalis or the cocoons as like your middle school age, elementary school and middle school age, and then think of when the butterfly starts to emerge as high school deferment, and then the big adult butterfly at the end. So what we're going to talk about tonight is really going to start at middle school and then talk about really the big transition information at high school, deferment, and beyond. So that will be your visual. Okay, so in your mind, when we're thinking about the process, in the state of Florida and in the state of Florida only, transition services start at the age 12. Okay, and then we really truly develop and execute the plan by age 14 or the first day of high school. Okay, this plan gets updated and continues as we assess the student's progress, monitor, are they reaching their goals, adjust the plan all through high school. Then we continue to build and develop the plan through deferment so that our students are truly ready for life after high school into adulthood. Okay, so another quote. A truly successful transition process is the result of a comprehensive team planning that is driven by the dreams, desires, and abilities of the youth. A transition plan provides the basic structure for preparing an individual to live, work, and participate in the community as fully and independently as possible. This is truly what a successful transition plan should be all about.
¿Alguien me debe dar entrada?
So transition planning takes a team. I always say it takes a village to raise a child, and it's so true. It really is. So I want you to kind of think in your mind about all the key players that are part of your child's team. Okay. And I want you to really think outside of the box too, because a lot of times we make our team super small and we don't realize all the people that are really available to be a part of the team. Okay, so when you're talking about transition planning, of course you need to have your ESC specialist facilitate the meetings. You have your transition specialist that can assist with making sure that everybody at the school has the information that they need to support your child. You have your school counselors.
Yeah.
Most high schools have a school counselor for every grade. And then they have a high school counselor director. So you have a lot of counselors on your campus, and those are the folks that are really going to help you understand graduation requirements and the progress towards your student getting their high school diploma. You have your speech pathologists, your job coaches, your brace advisors, support facilitators, teachers, your vocational rehabilitation counselors. If you have APD, you have your coordinators. You have your family, and then of course you have your community. Okay, so this is just people that are really a part of the village, that are really part of that transition planning. We need us to all work together to help our students become successful and achieve their goals. Okay, so this is really important because I think that a lot of times, and we hear this a lot and we don't mind, but everyone's always like, I need a transition specialist to help me with a transition plan. I need the transition specialist to create the transition plan. Well, it's not just one person. Of course, we have the information we'd love to share with you, but we're really not the people that are responsible for truly implementing the plan. We're part of your village to help you. But I really want everyone to think about tonight, what is your role? Okay, what is your role? So if I have any students on tonight, I want you to really listen up, okay? Because the students have a big responsibility, okay? Students are in the driver's seat, right? Our students are really driving the ship, okay? This should start in middle school, where students are starting to develop and use self-determination and self-advocacy, okay? They need to know their accommodations and how they learn best. They need to learn and use and take care of their assistive technology. They need to go to their IEP meetings and take part in developing the IEP, such as sharing their strengths, needs, and interests. They need to take and complete career awareness and exploration activities. They need to participate and practice expressing their ideas. They need to practice using self-determination skills, such as making decisions and choices, solving problems, setting goals. Okay? So these are all things that our students need to start working on. Families. What's the family responsibility? Okay, well, families are a major part of our students' success. We need families to help us in helping your student become successful. Okay, you need to keep records of transition-related services and activities. You need to review and keep up with graduation requirements. I actually have a change from the state that I'm going to share with you tonight. You need to identify strengths and needs to discuss at the IEP meeting. Who better to talk about your child than you? Review and discuss diploma options with your youth. Okay, so you have to make yourself knowledgeable about what those diploma options are and then have those conversations with your son or daughter. Help your youth practice self-determination skills. Talk to your child about plans for after high school. How many times do we talk to our teenagers and say, you know, what do you want to do? And they say they really don't know. Okay, so we have to help them explore some of those ideas. Okay, we have to provide opportunities to explore some of the post-secondary options. You know, help them think about employment, help them look at some colleges and programs. What's the school district's responsibility? Well, listen to this because it sounds kind of similar of what the family's responsibility and the student's responsibilities are. We need to help prepare students to take part in their IEP meeting. We need to identify students' strengths, needs, and interests. We need to ensure students have the accommodations and modifications they need to be successful. We need to teach self-determination skills. We need to review measurable annual goals. And do the annual goals support students to reach their post-secondary goals? We need to review the measurable post-secondary goals. We need to provide learning experiences related to employment. And we need to connect students to agencies that can provide support during and after their high school experience. And then, of course, our agency responsibilities. So you'll notice here on the slide, there's 5 that are in blue. And I spoke at the beginning of the night that our next session in October is going to go over the big 5 agency resources. These are the big 5 that we're going to have representatives from to come and speak about the agency and what resources they provide. Okay, so a lot of times you'll hear this information and maybe it'll be presented to you at the IEP meeting and you're like, well, what is that? Or maybe you applied for it, but you're on a waiting list, so you forgot about what it was. Well, these are the big 5, okay? And these are the major agencies that can help monetarily, that provide the resources and funding to get into adult programs when the student exits. They can help students get what they need for employment. So these are all agencies that can help assist not only youth in school, but then our young adults when they leave us. So it's really important that you make yourself informed and aware about these agencies, what the resources are that they provide, how to apply for them, and how to continuously follow up to make sure you get the services that you're entitled to help your teenager or your young adult. Okay, so think about all the different people that are a part of the village and what their responsibility is. Okay, so now we're going to kind of get into the meat and potatoes of what transition services include. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to list what the transition services include, but then when I'm done listing them, I'm going to start from the first slide and go through each service with a little bit more detail. Okay, and just as a reminder, parents, don't get overwhelmed. Don't shut me down and tune me off because it's too much information. Just know tonight is the whole overview of what transition services are. Each month, we're going to break it down for you even further, and we're going to dive deeper into the information. So it may sound a little bit repetitive, okay? But don't shut down on me. Get the overview now, and just know we're going to follow up with a deeper dive of each thing that I talk about in every session, every month throughout the year, okay? So transition services include transition assessments, self-determination and self-advocacy, diploma options and course of study, community-based instruction, agency resources, post-secondary options and planning, transition deferment programs, work-based learning experiences, age of majority and guardianship information. Okay. Transition services start at the age of 12. But the high school journey truly begins at the age 14 or the first day of high school with a transition plan. Okay, so I want you to think about what is a transition plan, because I think that people get confused and they think that it's something different than the IEP, and it really isn't. Okay, the IEP is a required document that maps out the support needs of the student. Okay. It has the course of study, which describes the educational journey the student takes each year to reach their goal. As the student ages, the IEP requirements change. By the age 14, the IEP truly becomes a transition plan that is to be fully implemented by the age 14 or the first day of school. Okay, so it becomes a true transition plan. Now the IEP becomes the plan that assists students to be college, career, and life ready. Okay, so when you want to know what is the transition plan, it really is the IEP. That's the plan. Okay, so now we're going to kind of talk about at what age transition planning begins and what should happen. Okay, so parents, I'm empowering you right now, okay, to learn and understand what you need to know and what should be provided to you as far as information during your IEP meetings. Okay, so now I'm going to really teach you what is going to be provided to you in each of those meetings. And if it's not, I want you to stop and ask for the information. If something's presented to you that you don't understand, I want you to stop and ask it to be explained to you again, because it's really important that this meeting is about your child. It's really important that your child is the center focus of this meeting. Not only do they get to participate, but this is their plan. This is their transition plan. This is their plan that helps them make it through high school into deferment and have their successful adult life. This is the plan that helps them get their high school diploma. This is the plan that helps them achieve their post-secondary goals. This is it. Okay, so we need to be active participants in the meeting, but in order to do that, we need to understand the information that we are supposed to get and what we're supposed to put in the plan so that the village is going to help work with your student to get to where they need to be. So at age 12 or by 7th grade, either or, okay, whatever happens first, the parent will receive a notice that the IEP 2.0 has started. Okay, so now you're going to go from your IEP that you had through pre-K to elementary school, and it's going to now turn at the age 12 to an IEP 2.0 or your transition IEP. Okay, that's when you're going to start to see the IEP changes. It looks different. Okay, so the students need to be invited to the meeting. Okay, so the students are invited to the meeting at age 12. And although they may not start to participate, you can prepare them to start the meeting to say, hi, my name is Stacy Triangelo. I love butterflies. I am obsessed with transition services. It's my life. And that's what they can talk about. And then eventually they can start to talk about this is how I learn best. But the student needs to be invited to the meeting at age 12. And the village really does need to start to prepare the student to self-advocate and speak about what needs to be in that plan because it is their plan. Okay. You are to be provided with transition-related information. Okay, so I'm going to show you the document. It's called the Provision of Information. It provides all of the programs in Broward County Public Schools that you really can educate yourself about. Okay, then we need to document steps to ensure the student's strengths, interests, and preferences are considered. So how do we do that? Well, we're required to implement a minimum of 2 transition assessments every year. I like there to be more transition assessments provided to the students because that can really capture all of the skills of the student in an IEP, but the assessments need to be implemented at the beginning of the year, and I would like to say again at the end of the year so that we can see the progress and the change. This is the meat and potatoes that really goes into that present level of performance. This is really how we get to see what is the student interested in, how are they progressing with their academics, where are they at with self-determination and self-advocacy. So this is where we really need to start figuring out what it is that the students are interested in. Then we need to begin to identify the transition services that the student needs. And we're going to start to discuss what those measurable post-secondary goals are. They don't need to be developed, but they need to be discussed. Okay, what is it that, this 7th grader is really interested in? What excites them? What do they talk about all the time? Is there a specific career or trade that they might be interested in? Is there a certain subject that they love? Okay, so remember that really long document I was telling you about? This is the provision of information. So starting at age 12, when your transition IEP is starting to be implemented, this is the information that needs to be provided to you. Okay, and this really talks about all the different programs that are available, including our deferment programs, including all of our career and technical education programs. It includes all the agency resources. It's a comprehensive document that is to be provided to you starting at your child's IEP, the age 12 or 7th grade, whatever happens first. Okay. This is another document that should be provided to you. Okay, and if it's not, I'm going to show you where to access it, but I also want you to make sure that you're asking for the information. At the IEP meeting, it's important that we're identifying which agency resources this student may need. Okay, and in order to do that, our families need to be aware of what those agencies are. Again, this is the big 5 agencies: vocational rehabilitation, agencies for persons with disabilities, the Center for the Center for Independent Living. So Project 10 created this guide for us. And not only does it have all the information about what these agencies are and what resources they provide, but then it has a link that you can click on and it takes you right to their website. So this is information that can get emailed to you by the ESE specialist. It's something you can ask for at the IEP meeting, but it is our duty as a school district to provide you the information on agency resources. Okay, and then in the IEP, we'll actually check off the agency resources that we provided to the parent. So when you receive a copy of the IEP and it checks off that you received information on these agencies, it's saying you received it. So if it's checked off and you didn't receive it, you need to say, please provide it to me. Okay, so please be aware of that. Okay, so when I was talking about transition assessments, a lot of times parents really don't have a comprehensive understanding of what I'm talking about. So transition assessments are outside of the typical assessments that are provided during your student's and child's academic career. So when students are learning all their academics, there's all these statewide tests. So like the EOCs, the end of the year course exams, and the state FSA or the FSAA, like all of those are for academics, and those are state assessments that are done they're part of the graduation requirements that have to be implemented. So you can add some of those things as far as some of those academic assessments. Also, if there's any reading assessments that are done, those can be put in for academic for assessments, right? But there are transition assessments that go over career interests. They go over independent living and self-determination. They go over various skills that the students are working on, maybe within their program, to identify what skills and interests they have. These are the assessments that are going to give us the full picture of the student. Maybe they're an amazing artist, but how would we know that if we aren't providing them the information to tell us? So we want to be able to capture the full student, not just the academic progress, not just the communication progress. We want to capture the whole student. And these assessments need to be implemented every year, because students change their mind, or once they experience something, they shift maybe to a different path. So we need to take the assessments over and over again to kind of capture that student as they age, as they grow, as they develop, as they change. So it's important that a minimum of 2 transitions assessments outside of the traditional academic assessments that are done through state requirements, outside of that needs to be brought to the table to truly capture that present level of information to help us know more about the student. So continuing in our middle school transition plan, we also need to document the need for instruction in self-determination and self-advocacy to assist students to participate in their IEP meeting and to be prepared in life. Okay, so it's important that we go through what self-determination truly is, and we'll do that in the next slide. Then we're going to need to start to develop the annual goals that we're going to work on now, because we really want to help prepare them for high school. So we need to have some good, strong annual goals in there. We also need to talk to our students about graduation pathways and diploma designations. Many of our high schools have career and technical education programs. Many of our high schools may have a pathway that your son or daughter is really interested in, but if you don't know about it and you don't know the different diploma options, you won't be able to advocate on their behalf with their school counselors to help them make some of those choices and decisions to go to a specific high school that maybe captures their interest, so that they can go down that course of study and pathway on that diploma option specifically to help them reach their post-secondary goals. You need to discuss how the student will be prepared to graduate from high school with a standard diploma. So we need to talk about what that plan looks like so our students leave with a high school diploma. All of these things happen as part of the 12-year-old transition plan. Okay. So what is self-determination and self-advocacy truly? I love this element chart because it kind of dives deep into what it is. So self-advocacy is actually a part of, it's an element under self-determination. Okay, so when there's a section in the IEP meeting and it says, does the student, wait, I forget exactly how it's quoted, but it's just like, does the student need instruction in self-determination? It's literally a check in the IEP. And sometimes it's checked no. I think every adult needs instruction in self-determination. Look at what it is. Choice making, right? Can the student select a pathway and make choices? Decision making. This is a skill that, students really need to learn how to make those decisions, right? Problem solving. Do they have the tools that they need to solve problems when it comes into their lives? Do they have those skills? Can they look at the situation and figure out a plan to come out on the other side truly solving the problem? Goal setting and attainment. Do they know their skills and abilities? Are they able to set the goal and then actually achieve the goal? Self-regulation. Do students have the ability to control themselves if they're, under pressure? Do they know how to not get stressed out and melt down? Do they know how to behave in certain situations? Are they okay if like someone's really annoying them, to kind of have that self-regulation? These are really important skills that we can't just think are going to happen by osmosis. We have to teach it. Okay, self-advocacy. Can our students speak up for themselves and let us know they need help? Let us know how we can help them. And the best place to start this is at home. The best place to start this is in the community. The best place to start this is if your son or daughter is in a sport or an activity, or if they're having, a day with a friend, to talk about what it is they need and what they want. Why not at their IEP meeting? Talk about this is the setting I need to learn and invest. These are the accommodations I need to learn. So self-advocacy needs to be taught. A lot of times our kids just want to fly under the radar and they don't want to ask for help. They don't want attention brought to them. That's today's society. We all live in this hermit bubble. We're fine with, like, if we could text our teacher, that would be cool. None of us want to speak up and talk to people about what we need. This is a huge skill. Internal locus of control. Do we have belief in ourselves? Do we believe in ourselves to be able to then flourish? Right? We always say that you have to put it out in the universe to be successful. But do our students really know that? Do they know what they're good at? Do they know that they have those skills to be successful? Self-efficacy, same thing. Are they aware of themselves and what their strengths are and the things that they can do and accomplish? And then lastly, self-awareness. Are they truly aware of themselves and their beings and the things that they can do? Are they self-aware? These are really important skills. You can't just check a box and tell me that a student does not need instruction on self-determination and self-advocacy. So when you're sitting in an IEP meeting, students and parents, now you're going to think about that box and you're going to have a whole new meaning because this element chart is going to come up. Trust me, it will now. I love this checklist. I think it's super cool. And I forgot to say this, parents, and I'm so sorry. Sometimes I get excited and I rush ahead and I don't remind you. But we have a parent Padlet. We reorganized it for you. So what we're doing this year is that the parent Padlet is going to have the title of the tap session, and then anything that you see on my PowerPoint is going to be in that section of the Padlet. So now when you open up the parent Padlet, this is going to be the first session, the 411 on transition services. You'll see the PowerPoint, you can click on it and you can have the PowerPoint. Then you'll see all the resources, but it'll be the full resource. This is just a screenshot of the resource. You'll have the resources under there as well. So you'll have everything organized the way I present it to you. Okay, so this chart is really cool. Okay, because basically what it does is you can do this at home with your kids. So in middle school, grades 6 to 8, these are the independent, like self-determination, self-advocacy skills that the student has. So choice making, my child can, and you basically put in a C if they can complete it, a P if they're in progress, and an N if it's not needed. So you could check one of those. And then at the end, you can see where your child is in each area. Goal setting, independence, self-management, self-awareness, self-determination, self-advocacy. And this is grades 6 through 8. Then the next one is grades 9 through 12. So now look, it adds on the things that they need to do, okay? And then the last one, and it says child can, child can, child can. Now look what it says. Young adults can, because now it's deferment, 18 to 22. Okay, so now you can check off, each area here, and hopefully at this stage, you're going to notice that, wow, by taking the time to really work on these independent skills and then kind of doing your own progress monitoring at home, I guarantee you'll start to see huge progress in all of these areas. Okay, diploma options. How am I doing on time? Okay, I want to make sure that I finish at 7 and I give you the half hour for Q&A. Okay, so diploma options. These have changed. So, and it really wasn't that big of a change, but when the state changes the diploma options and the requirements to get those diplomas, they have to put it out, even if it's a minimal change. So there's one diploma option chart that you'll find in the Padlet that's for students who entered prior to 2023-24. And then the chart I have up here of students entering ninth grade after 2023-24. The only change was now they are required to do a half a credit in financial literacy, and the online credit is no longer a mandate. Okay, so I want you to know this though, because a lot of people don't understand the diploma options. I spoke to a parent like last week that really wasn't clear that a student that's on access points and modifications receives a standard high school diploma. Yes, our students on access points receive a standard diploma. Anyway, okay, so the diploma options. We have the 24 credit standard diploma options for all students. All students. Then we have our 24 credit standard diploma option with academic and employment requirements. This diploma option is only for students with disabilities. Did you know that? Okay, take a look at that. That's a diploma option for our students. So if that is something our students are interested in, that is an option that they can select. That is what they choose before they enter high school. They need to tell their high school ninth grade counselor, I'm electing to take a 24 credit standard diploma option with academic and employment requirements. Then it needs to be identified on the IEP. The IEP has all of these requirements in a checkbox, in a section. The diploma option that the student is choosing, this is where you check that, okay? Then we offer the 24 credit standard diploma access courses. This is only available to students with the most significant cognitive disabilities, but it is a standard high school diploma. It's just modified. Okay. Then we have our 18 credit academically challenging curriculum to enhance learning diploma. Okay, it's called the Excel diploma. This is for all students. Then we have our career and technical education graduation pathway diploma. This is for all students. Look at all these amazing diploma options that we have that our students can actually leave high school with. I need you to know them. I need you to learn all about them. I need you to understand what the requirements are, how students can receive these diplomas. It's really important because that's what we need to talk to our students about. This is what we need our students to understand so that they have the option to choose some of these really cool diploma options. Okay, so I spoke about this at the ESE advisory meeting if anybody had attended that, but there was a change, okay, and it's in House Bill 1105. And I just want everyone to understand that truly the certificate of completion elimination should not impact any of our students with disabilities, and I'm going to tell you why, okay? So the state removed, and we will be removing it off of one of our options. It's actually in the IEP. It's an option to receive a certificate of completion. What that means is a student met all of their graduation requirements, but they didn't achieve the 2.0 GPA, and they didn't pass their state exams, okay? They would get a certificate of completion, which means nothing. It means nothing. It just means that they met their high school requirements, which means nothing because they didn't get a diploma. So you're basically just getting a certificate that says, okay, you've aged out of school and you don't get a diploma, you met your requirements, but that shouldn't happen. Students with disabilities, A, have the right to an education until they're 22 if they have an IEP, right? So they can stay with us until they get the 2.0 GPA. And they can waive their exams as long as they sit for the exam one time. I mean, we'd like them to continue to try and take them, but then they can have the exams waived, so it should not impact them. All of our students with disabilities will leave with a high school diploma, okay? So that is really important to understand. So don't sweat it. I'm happy the state's removing that. I'm happy the state's taking that away. And I'm happy that the state is now embarking on a pathway to create new workforce credentials. And these programs are going to be specific to students with autism, okay, or those on modified curriculum. They want to start to connect our students to earning workforce credentials. They want our students to have the same opportunities. They want our students to get badges and certificates that help them add those things to their resumes so that they can leave with gainful employment. This is exciting to me. I didn't look at this change as something that was a bad thing. I looked at it as like, hello, DOE, that certificate of completion doesn't really mean anything at all. We need our kids to get their high school diplomas, period. And then creating more workforce credentials, I'm always all about that. So you don't have to sweat it. This is the change. I'm actually on one of the committees for the state to work on creating the new workforce credentials, so I'll keep you guys posted. Let's take a break. Let's breathe. I know it's a lot of information. It's a lot of me talking. But parents, let's take a minute to be kind to ourselves. First of all, you're all incredible. You took the time out of your crazy schedule, your busy evening to learn to help best support your students, okay? You're here and you're amazing, and I appreciate everything you guys do. You're a huge part of our village. You're a huge part of our students' success. We can't do it without you. We have to be a team. We have to do this together. When I tell you, we fight the same fight. We advocate the same way you advocate. Our passion is to help our students be successful. This is why we do this. We don't get paid to work until 9 o'clock at night. We do it because we love our work. We love our kids. We want our kids to be successful. This is what we do. And we need you. We have to have parents like you. So I just want you all to know that I appreciate you and I thank you, okay? Parenting is like skateboarding, okay? It requires a really good sense of balance. And I actually, when my daughter entered adulthood, I had to have a good talking to about what that balance looked like for me. She's my only child, and you know, I needed to learn how to push the birdie out of the nest. It was very hard for me. So I want you to just take a picture of this, post it somewhere, because as your teenagers entering high school and then maybe even getting older, I want you to think about how you have to balance the new you parenting the new them, okay? You want to do more listening than talking. You want to set appropriate boundaries, but allow youth to make mistakes and learn from them. Remain involved while encouraging independence. It's hard to do. Remain in charge, but share the power. You can do that at the IEP meetings. Be a parent first. Be a friend second. Protect without taking away freedom. Okay? It's a balancing act between holding on and letting go. And with students with disabilities, it's so much harder. So much harder. And I commend all of you for everything that you do. But take a picture of this, because this can help you when you're balancing on that skateboard. Moving into high school, Now is when really the meat and potatoes come together, because this becomes a true full-blown executed transition plan. Age 14 or the first day of high school. This is it, folks. This is when we're taking the big plunge, okay? This is when this plan means more than anything, which it confuses me why we have less parent involvement at high school IEP meetings than we do at elementary. I mean, I get it, but this really is the time we need to be so involved, okay? If we haven't taught our kid how to be in an IEP meeting and talk about their plan and talk about their goals, talk about their dreams, attain those goals, then our families need to be there. Our village needs to be there. We need to be actively involved, okay? This is where we document graduation decisions and diploma designation. That's what I just talked about. This is where we develop post-secondary measurable goals in the area of education, training, employment, including career goals and independent living. Don't tell me our kids are independent. They are not. They need to have a goal there. Invite an agency representative if you can. Agencies sometimes can't attend, but let us know. Is your son or daughter participating in a pre-eds program with VR? Let us know the agencies you're connected with. It's part of the plan. We need to know if they're doing things after school, okay? Develop a course of study statement. It's a description of the instructional program and experience. It needs to be developed in there, and it's going to be assessed and changed each year as the student progresses through their course of study. Okay, you're going to document the consideration of pre-employment transition services through vocational rehabilitation. Don't get stressed. We're going to talk about this during the Big Five meeting in October, okay? We're going to take a deeper dive into what that is. Develop the statement of outcomes and additional benefits expected by the parent. Okay, think about what input you're going to have into the IEP meeting on what the expectations are of the outcomes. Document and discuss the process of the student with a disability who meets graduation requirements to defer the receipt of such diploma. Okay, that's really important information. Well, what the heck does that mean? Okay, deferring the receipt of the high school diploma means that the student has met graduation requirements, okay? They're not 22 yet. They still don't have self-advocacy and self-determination skills. They still don't have true career goals and understand what employment opportunities they want. They truly still need transition services. They're not really independent enough to go into the adult world. So they're going to say, I want to hold up taking my diploma. I want to stay in Broward County Public Schools. I want to participate in one of the deferment options available to me so that I can learn the skills necessary to be successful as an adult. Okay? So you have to have an IEP. You have to meet all of your graduation requirements to the selected diploma option. You have to have an IEP team meeting, and everybody agrees that you'll benefit from going to a work-based learning program to connect you to employment opportunities in a hospital, okay? Now, we lead the state of Florida in our deferment options. We have the only college prep program in the state of Florida, okay? So please learn about our deferment programs. Please make yourself knowledgeable about them. They're really cool. They're amazing opportunities for our students to learn these skills before they leave. I need you to understand that if your child takes their diploma and leaves Broward County Public Schools, they are gone. They cannot come back. I don't care if they're 19. I didn't make the rule. You decided not to defer. You took your diploma to go to college, and now you're couch surfing and you want to come back because you want to learn more skills because you're not successful as an adult. And mom and dad are like, go get a job. And no, they're still sitting on the couch. I can't take them back. I want to, but that wouldn't be legal. You took your diploma and you left. You cannot come back. So please make yourself knowledgeable about the deferment process, our deferment programs, and think about it really. should I defer or not defer? The ESC specialist needs to start talking to you about this at age 14. They should talk to you about it every single year, okay? Then we need to talk about the next big step. I'm going to go into what letter you're going to get in a second, and I promise I'm going to finish on time, okay? We have to inform, okay, you and the student by age 16 that rights will transfer to the young adult at age 18. Okay, we need to provide you with all of the information on what happens, what rights are transferred, what are some of the options for when the adult is now going to have all of their rights transferred to them and they have to make all of their decisions, and parents want guardianship. We need to tell you all about this by age 16, okay? That is our legal obligation. You will then have to decide about deferment. You will have to sign this deferment letter by 11th grade, okay? So you need to know and understand your deferment options. You need to sign this letter sooner than later, because by the time you're in 12th grade and you're meeting graduation requirements, if you don't sign it by May 15th, it's over. You cannot defer, okay? This is the information we need to give you for selecting any sort of guardianship options. We provide this to you so that you can learn about the least restrictive choices to the most restrictive choices, from supported decision making all the way to full guardianship. We want you to know the information before the rights transfer over at age 18. So the sooner you start to educate yourself about the options and the process, you'll be ahead of the game when this happens, okay? So it is our obligation to talk to you and to talk to the student about what is going to happen, and that has to start at age 16, age 17 the latest, okay? We have to inform you that the rights will transfer to that student at 18, and they are going to be fully responsible for their decisions, including their educational decisions. So this is the letter that we will provide you, a minimum of 1 year prior to the age 18, with all the links and resources available to you to learn more about the information. This letter is provided to you. This letter is provided to the student at the IEP meeting. Okay? Then at age 18, we now provide a letter that says the rights have transferred. You are now 18. Please sign, because you understand you are now legally responsible for everything you do. Getting married, voting, educational decisions, legal decisions, everything goes to the young adult unless the parent selects an option to have the rights over certain decisions. Okay, we will have a whole parent session on this, okay? Because it's really important that you understand this information. Okay, now the tools for your toolbox. I cannot believe it's 6:57. I did it. Okay, so the tools for your toolbox. The secondary transition roadmap, I wanted to be able to click on it and go through it, but Lisa Chavez is a near and dear friend of mine, and she is our Project 10 person. She's going to come and she'll do a whole session on all their resources, because I really think you'll find it beneficial to go and to use these resources. The secondary transition roadmap is my Bible. This is my go-to document. It basically lays out transition planning for families starting at mile 1 all the way through post-secondary. Print it, post it in your office, post it wherever you are. This should be your Bible. Middle school folks, the middle school transition trail map for families. This is my Bible. It is amazing. It goes through the whole process for middle school. These two documents are amazing, and they should be with you at all times. It's your go-to guide for any questions or information that you need as far as transition planning from middle school straight through to adulthood. Okay, and then our parent Padlet. Oh no, there it is. Okay, so it's a QR code, and so you can use the QR code, or I need to give you guys the link as well. I don't know, Natasha, if you're able to post that in the chat for them, but just put your phone over the QR code and you'll pull up the Padlet, okay? So you'll see the first section of the Padlet is the 411 on transition services. That's where you're gonna find this PowerPoint, but remember, you can also watch it on YouTube at Tap Broward within 48 hours, okay? So that's our parent Padlet, but I'm gonna go back really quick to this slide.
Thank you.
Because now it's time for you. Okay, this concludes the actual informational session. We're going to stop the recording.
Stacy Wolf.
And then we are going to be able to ask questions. Okay, so if you can raise your hand, and then we will call